Hello everyone, welcome back to another Doctor Who action figure review. In today's Doctor Who action figure review, I'm taking a look at the final character options release for 2025, which is the Wrarth Warrior twin pack containing Constable Reg and Sergeant Zogroff. So the way this video is going to work, we're going to take a look at the packaging, the articulation and detail, and a comparison, a sort of a height comparison to see how tall these Wrarth Warrior figures are compared to the other character options figures in the line. So this is very exciting because I'm a big fan of when character options do aliens and creatures because they absolutely nail it. So let's find out if character options have nailed the Wrarth Warrior. Packaging wise for the Wrarth Warrior twin pack, so we've got the traditional style guide packaging motif, the Doctor Who logo, the multicoloured vortex, the high deco vortex edition figures, the windowed box displaying the figures there, the TARDIS, the scale of the figures, what the figures include, the Doctor that features these monsters, and then the name of the set on the bottom. The side of the box. Back of the box we've got the bio about the Wrarth Warriors themselves and a bio on the Star Beast, and then we have a quote from the story, what the set includes, and a bit of information about the Vortex figures there. And the card insert for the Wrarth Warrior twin pack is the sort of street attack there, and you can see two of the Wrarth Warriors there in action, ready to attack unit and hunt down the Meep. The Wrarth Warriors have been set free from their plastic spaceship and are ready to track down the Meep. So first impressions of these figures, they are quite tall, aren't they? They are ginormous. So we're going to take a look at the articulation for the Wrarth Warrior, and then we'll move on to the detail for both of these Wrarth Warriors. And yeah, they are certainly shaping up to be a contender for the best figure of the year. In terms of articulation for the Wrarth Warrior, so the head can do a full 360-degree turn, and it is on a ball joint, so it can look up and down and a little bit to the side as well. The arms are ball jointed. Now the arm starts here, so you can see it pops out there and can move forwards and backwards like so. And we do have elbow articulation, which does bend, and then we do have 360 at the tendril, and same with the claw arm, and of course the claw does open up, which is always a lovely little touch. We do have waist articulation, which can move side to side and is on a little bit of a rocker, so it can sort of pivot up and down as well. The legs are where this figure gets really interesting in terms of articulation, because it's on a T-crotch joint, so it can kick out and move forwards and backwards. Then we have knee articulation. Now I will say the joint on the legs are incredibly stiff, so you might need to sort of soak the legs in sort of boiling hot water to sort of loosen them. So we do have knee articulation, which can bend ever so slightly, and then we do have lower leg articulation where the leg can extend and, you know, retract. And then we do have this little bit of articulation on the hoof, which I'm going to be honest, that's the stiffest bit of articulation, which I don't really want to force, so I'm probably going to have to soak this in hot water to sort of loosen it up so it can sort of bend a little bit, because it should, you know, bend forwards and backwards, and it does move side to side as well. Taking a look at the Wrarth Warriors, so we have Constable Reg here, and then we have Sergeant Zogroff here. So if we take a look at the differences first before we deep dive into this sculpt, because this is like 100% new sculpt, obviously, because just look at that design. So from face value, you think they look pretty much identical. It's only sort of minor paint variants where you think, oh yeah, that Zogroff has more of a darker wash on sort of the carapace, whereas Zreg, you know, he's looking a little bit more clean. But if we look at the carapace section, you can see that Zreg has a much more smoother carapace compared to Zogroff. There you can sort of see the little chips in the actual carapace, little differences there you can sort of see. So that's really nice to sort of give them a little bit of differentiate, because you probably won't notice it from the pictures online, but getting them in hand you can see they are a little bit different. So if we take a look at the detail, let's give Zogroff a bit of love, shall we? So if we take a look at the detail for Zogroff, so we have this wonderful head sculpt, and I think character options do such an amazing job with aliens, and I think we've been so lucky this year getting, you know, new sculpted aliens like the Wrarth Warriors and Meep, and, you know, it just makes for a nice little companion piece for that original Star Beast set we saw back in June. So of course we've got this lovely insectoid head there with all this sort of wash to get sort of bone effect and this sort of mandible sort of skull-esque design, which is really lovely going across the sort of chin there. And of course we have this lovely wash going across sort of the scaling effect and rigid detail there. And of course on the top of the head we have the little feature for this, which is the light piping. So you can see when it sort of catches in the light that the eyes do shine. This is not a new thing for the Doctor Who figures. We saw it on the Vok robots and the Ice Warriors, but it's really nice to see that return. So when it catches the light you can see that it's not glowing. When it catches the light you can see that it gives that sort of a luminous effect that the eyes are glowing. And yeah, it's just a really lovely little feature. I love the little wash on there to just really highlight and accentuate the detail. Then we have the mouthpiece. You can see all that lovely ridging detail with the sort of mouth slit there, and a slight wash to accentuate some of that finer detail of the alien sculpt. And then if we move to the carapace itself, this has been given this sort of lovely dark sort of bone colour, and then it's got this lovely sort of nice sort of chipped effect on the carapace to show that it's sort of, he's taken some damage on his active service there, and that black wash really gets into the little finer details and really highlights and accentuates that brilliant sculpting detail, the nice sort of ridging effect there, the nice sort of armoured plating effects there. And if we move to the arms there, you can sort of see this wonderful join of how the arm would sort of connect to the body, this great scaling, that black wash highlighting that wonderful sculpted detail across there, and of course the little ridging effect on the sort of tendrils, which is again really lovely attention to detail. In the back of the carapace you can sort of see the lovely ridge effect there, sort of that gradient going up with the paint up with that black wash, really lifting the sculpting work by character. And then that's continued on the claw, which again really lovely, that same sort of carapace design, that sort of chipped effect going across there, and a nice little teeth effect there. It's all really lovely, stunning stuff. And then of course the same detail, nice ridging effect on the skin there, and of course the little carapace effect there, and then that's lovely sort of bony texture this figure has, which is great, and that nice sort of armoured plating effect there. Again, really that sort of nice standard detail what we've seen across the figure is replicated throughout the body of the Wrarth Warriors. They really are stunning detailed figures. In terms of accessories, they do come with their stands, but we'll cover that in a second. But we do have removable blasters. So taking a look at the blaster, so it's moulded in a black plastic, and you can see it's been given a little grey wash to give that nice sort of worn look to it. It's got this nice sort of textured effect going across there, across the little handle there, on the back of the gun, and then this nice sort of silver nozzle, which, you know, is really quite eye-catching alongside that lovely dry brushing effect. And taking a look at the handle, we've got these two silver buttons, and then even the bottom of the gun has been painted with these little blue lights, which is, you know, something you're not really going to see when displaying the figures, but that's really a lovely little touch. And if we continue to take a look at the arm, you can sort of see that nice sort of detail, that wash has continued into the sort of tendril of the arms itself. And the gun, it just slots in like so, and it's a really snug fit. It's not going to fall out there. You can see the sort of tendril just sort of wraps around the gun like so, and that's going nowhere. So that is really nice little bit of engineering. And of course, like I said, this does come with a clear stand, because stability for these figures, not great. They do need a stand, so when you're displaying these figures, they're not going to take a shelf dive and play dominoes with your figures where they just go everywhere. So the stand is a nice inclusion. It's got all the sort of character legal guff, which you're not going to really notice when displaying the figures, like so. As you can see, it works quite well. But yeah, really nice inclusion to have the stand, because they do need it, because they are a little bit top heavy, so they are going to need all the help they get when they go on the shelf. So that is really lovely. I think that these are some really stunning figures, great detail. I love the little inclusion of the light piping. That's just really lovely, especially when you catch it in the light. That is really lovely work. Of course, you do get a V sort of red on the top, but you know, that can't be helped. But you're not really going to be displaying the figures, you know, looking down. They're tall figures, so you're not really going to notice that little red circle there for the light piping feature. So that is the detail for the Wrarth Warriors. And here we have a bit of a height comparison, so you can see how tall the Wrarth Warrior is. So we've just got a 14th Doctor, K1 robot, a Silence figure, the Pyroval creature, and of course the werewolf. So these are kind of, I guess, more of the deluxe end character figures, where they're a little bit taller than your standard 5-inch figure there. So you can sort of see that the werewolf, though, is the most unstable figure. You can see that it is still a little bit taller than the Wrarth Warrior. So yeah, maybe if the werewolf came out today, that would have a stand, because I think that's a figure that definitely would benefit a stand, because he just leans at the back of the shelf because it's just unstable. So yeah, there you go, you can sort of see the height comparison for the Wrarth Warrior. There we have it, that has been my review of the Wrarth Warrior Twin Pack. And yes, this is such a wonderful set. It's so lovely to get more aliens and creatures in the line. I think that it's all well and good getting Doctor variants, but you need the monsters to go alongside them. And I think that, like I said, we've been really lucky this year to add two new creatures to the line, the Wrarth Warriors and the Meep. Two brilliant alien creatures. It just proves that character are still doing an incredible job, and I think that this year, in terms of figures, they've really stepped up their game with what they're producing. I think that the Wrarth Warrior is a testament to how far this new Vortex line is coming along with this sort of engineering of the Wrarth Warriors, the Meep especially as well. But yeah, as the price tag, this being 44 quid, that's the standard thing for these Vortex figures, and to be honest, I think that it's worth it. If we want to see newly tooled monsters and creatures, then that's just the price we have to pay, and I'm more than happy to do that, because I think that this is just really stellar work. These are, you know, above your average figure height, and they're just really incredible. I think character have really translated the sort of cumbersome nature of these figures, of the design of the Wrarth Warriors. It just feels very classic Doctor Who. It looks like a man in a rubber suit, and I love it for it. It's probably the most Doctor Who-y creature in figure form. Normally, when character do an alien, they really sort of stress the idea that, you know, that it's not a man in a rubber suit. That it really, you know, there are just some classic designs that translate really well into action figure form. This is one where character have gone, yeah, it is a guy in a rubber suit. It's a man on stilts dressed up as an alien, and I think that that is just really charming. I think that this is a brilliant set. Is it my favourite figure of the year? Possibly. I don't want it to be recency bias right now, but I'm an absolute fan of getting monsters. I think they're some of my favourite figures in the line. The K1 robot is one of my favourite figures, because it's just so chunky, and it's just, again, a really toyetic design, and I think, again, this really works in the toyetic form. Yeah, a really stunning thing. Is it, like I said, is it my favourite figure of the year? Possibly. I mean, I'll probably have to have a little play around with these to sort of just to see, but I think that this is going to be really difficult trying to pick my favourite figures for this year, because I've been really blessed, especially with the Vortex line, with the Anthony Ainley Master, not to mention that one. But yeah, this has just been a real great year for character. Real great figures, definitely worth checking out this set, and you know, it's just nice to sort of have a little bit of a Star Beast diorama. Maybe we can see a repaint of these to be sort of in their comic colour scheme, maybe of the Wrarth Warriors and maybe a 4th Doctor and Meep. That would be really neat. That little 4-pack, that would be quite a good little 4-pack to see be done. But yeah, really great figures. I love them. Like I said, massive fan of aliens, and I think character options have absolutely smashed this one. So yes, thank you very much for watching this figure review. Please like and subscribe for plenty more Doctor Who figure related content coming up in the near future, such as my sort of video covering all the Doctor Who figures of this year, going from my least favourite to my favourite. So I'll be ranking the Doctor Who figures, and I'll probably do a video covering, sort of doing a ranking of the online exclusives as well from 2020 to now. So that'll be coming up very soon, as well as alongside a top 10 History of the Dalek sets classic edition. So there's some figure videos still to come on the channel. But yeah, what a set to end on for the year for character options. This is character options ending the year with a big bang. So yes, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.